The Vikings. Just the name conjures images of fierce warriors, longboats crashing through the waves and villages engulfed in flame. But who were these seafarers who terrorized the coasts of Europe for centuries? They were the Vikings, also known as Norsemen, and their story is one of both brutality and surprising sophistication. Hailing from Scandinavia, the lands we now know as Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, they were more than just bloodthirsty raiders. They were skilled craftsmen, traders, and explorers, driven by a complex mix of factors to seek their fortunes far from home. From the late 8th century to the 11th century, the Vikings embarked on an era of expansion unlike any seen before. This period, known as the Viking Age, saw them venturing across vast distances, their iconic longships carrying them to the shores of Britain and Ireland, deep into the heart of Europe via its rivers, and even across the Atlantic to the shores of North America. Their raids brought fear and destruction, it's true, but they also established trade routes, founded settlements, and left an indelible mark on the course of European history. The term Viking itself is somewhat misleading. It derives from the Old Norse word vikinga, which referred to someone who went on expeditions, often involving raiding and piracy. While raiding was undoubtedly a significant part of their activities, it was by no means the whole story. Many Vikings were farmers, fishermen, and traders, living peaceful lives in their Scandinavian homelands. To understand the Vikings, we must look beyond the stereotype of the bloodthirsty barbarian. They were a complex and fascinating people, driven by a thirst for adventure, wealth, and new lands. Their story is a reminder that history is rarely black and white, and that even the most fearsome warriors were often driven by forces more complex than simple bloodlust. Few targets of Viking aggression would feel the brunt of their ambition as keenly as the ancient city of Jorvik, known to us today as York. Why did this particular city, nestled in the heart of England, become such a prize for the Norsemen? The answer, as with many things in history, lies in a combination of factors. Jorvik, you see, was no ordinary town. Strategically situated at the confluence of the rivers Ouse and Foss, it boasted access to the North Sea and a network of inland waterways. This made it a prime location for trade, connecting the Vikings to the riches of England and beyond. Control of Jorvik meant control of a vital artery of commerce, funneling goods and wealth into Viking hands. But Jorvik was more than just a trading hub, it was a symbol of power and prestige. In the 9th century, England was not a unified kingdom, but a patchwork of smaller kingdoms often at odds with one another. Jorvik, with its Roman walls and history as the capital of the northern kingdom of Northumbria, represented a significant prize. By capturing Jorvik, the Vikings weren't just gaining a strategically valuable city, they were delivering a blow to the English and establishing themselves as a force to be reckoned with. The Vikings, ever pragmatic, recognized Jorvik's potential not just as a target for plunder, but as a place to settle and rule. They established their own laws, minted coins, and transformed the city into a thriving center of Norse culture and commerce. Jorvik became a testament to the Vikings' ability to adapt, to transform from raiders into rulers, and to leave a lasting legacy on the lands they conquered. The arrival of the Vikings in England is often painted in shades of fire and blood, and for good reason. Their raids were brutal, leaving a trail of destruction and fear in their wake. However, the impact of Viking rule, especially in places like Jorvik, was far more nuanced than simple conquest. Their presence, while disruptive, also brought about a number of unexpected benefits that would shape the future of English society. One of the most significant contributions the Vikings made was in the realm of trade. Skilled seafarers and merchants, they established extensive trade networks that connected England to the wider world. Goods flowed into Viking-controlled ports like Jorvik from Scandinavia, the Byzantine Empire, and even as far afield as the Middle East. This influx of exotic goods and raw materials enriched the English economy and exposed its people to new ideas and cultures. Beyond trade, the Vikings also introduced innovative agricultural practices. They brought with them new types of plows, harrows, and other tools that improved farming efficiency. Their knowledge of animal husbandry and crop rotation also contributed to increased agricultural output. These innovations may seem small, but they had a significant impact on the lives of ordinary people leading to a more stable food supply and a gradual improvement in living standards. Furthermore, the Vikings' legal system, while different from that of the Anglo-Saxons, was not without its merits. Their emphasis on personal honor, oaths, and the payment of weregild, or compensation for wrongdoing, influenced the development of English law in the centuries that followed. The very concept of trial by jury, a cornerstone of the English legal system, has its roots in Viking traditions. While the Vikings' presence in England brought some unexpected benefits, it was not without its share of hardships. Their arrival ushered in a period of intense upheaval and violence, leaving a lasting scar on the English psyche. The shadow of the raven, their symbol of war and conquest, loomed large over the land, casting a long shadow that would take generations to fade. The most immediate and devastating consequence of Viking raids was the loss of life and destruction of property. Monasteries, centers of learning and religious devotion, were particularly vulnerable to attack, their wealth making them tempting targets. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, a collection of historical records from the time, is replete with tales of Viking raids, recounting the burning of churches, the slaughter of monks, and the theft of sacred relics. The Vikings' insatiable appetite for plunder placed a heavy financial burden on the English kingdoms. To appease the raiders and prevent further attacks, English rulers were often forced to pay vast sums of money known as danegeld, literally Danish tax. While effective in the short term, this practice had a crippling effect on the English economy, diverting resources away from essential services and infrastructure. Moreover, the Vikings' arrival destabilized the political landscape of England. The Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, already engaged in their own power struggles, were ill-prepared for the ferocity and persistence of the Viking onslaught. The Vikings' ability to strike at will, sailing up rivers and appearing seemingly out of nowhere, made them a constant threat and weakened the authority of English kings. Section 5. From raiders to rulers, notable Viking leaders. The Viking Age, spanning roughly 3 centuries, produced a cast of characters as diverse as the lands they explored. From ruthless warlords to cunning strategists and even those who embraced the cultures they encountered, these leaders left their mark on history, their names etched in both saga and stone. One of the earliest and most legendary figures is Ragnar Lothbrok, a semi-mythical figure whose exploits are shrouded in legend. Said to have raided France and England, fathering sons who would become even more famous than himself, Ragnar embodies the Viking spirit of adventure and daring. Among Ragnar's sons, Ivar the Boneless stands out for his ruthlessness and military acumen. A key figure in the invasion of England, Ivar is credited with orchestrating the capture of Jorvik and the overthrow of the East Anglian king. His nickname, the origins of which remain a subject of debate, only adds to his fearsome reputation. Another notable Viking leader who chose the path of assimilation was Rollo of Normandy. A fierce warrior who plagued the coasts of France, Rollo eventually struck a deal with the French king, accepting baptism and a swathe of land in exchange for peace and his conversion to Christianity. This land would become known as Normandy, the land of the Northmen, and its rulers would play a pivotal role in European history, culminating in the Norman conquest of England in 1066. Other Viking leaders of note include Eric the Red, founder of the first Norse settlement in Greenland, and his son Leif Erikson, who, according to sagas, reached the shores of North America centuries before Columbus. These explorers demonstrate the Vikings' seafaring prowess and their insatiable thirst for new horizons. Section 6. Life beyond the longship, daily life in Viking society. While the image of the Viking warrior is deeply ingrained in our collective imagination, it's essential to remember that raiding and warfare were but one facet of their lives. The vast majority of Vikings were not conquering heroes, but ordinary people, farmers, fishermen, craftsmen, and traders, going about their daily routines in a world far different from our own. Most Vikings lived in small villages scattered across the harsh landscapes of Scandinavia. Their homes, known as longhouses, were long, narrow structures built from timber and topped with thatched roofs. These communal dwellings often housed extended families with a central hearth providing warmth and light during the long, dark winters. Life for the Vikings was challenging, shaped by the rhythms of nature and the ever-present need to secure sustenance from the land and sea. Farming was the backbone of their economy, with barley, oats and rye being staple crops. Livestock, including cattle, sheep, pigs and goats, provided meat, milk, wool and hides. The sea, ever present, was another vital source of food, with fishing and whaling providing valuable protein. Viking society, while seemingly egalitarian compared to the rigid hierarchies of feudal Europe, was nonetheless structured. At the top were the jarls, chiefs who commanded the loyalty of their communities and led them in war. Below them were the carls, freemen who owned their own land and weapons. At the bottom of the social ladder were thralls, slaves captured in war or born into servitude. Despite the hardships they faced, the Vikings were known for their love of storytelling, music and feasting. Skilled craftsmen, they produced intricate jewelry, weapons and everyday objects, often adorned with intricate carvings and designs inspired by Norse mythology. Their sagas, tales of gods and heroes, were passed down orally for generations, preserving their history and beliefs. Section 7. A legacy forged in iron, the enduring impact of the Vikings. The Viking Age may have ended centuries ago, but its echoes still resonate in the present day. Their impact on England in particular was profound and far-reaching, leaving an indelible mark on the country's language, culture and very DNA. Far from being merely a period of violence and upheaval, the Viking Age was a time of cultural exchange, a crucible in which Anglo-Saxon and Norse traditions blended and clashed, forging a new and vibrant English identity. Perhaps the most visible legacy of the Vikings is found in the English language itself. Thousands of words in modern English have their roots in Old Norse, the language spoken by the Vikings. Words like berserk, skull, knife, window, and even the seemingly mundane they, them, and their all derived from the language of the Northmen. Beyond vocabulary, the Vikings also influenced English place names, particularly in the north and east of the country. Towns and villages with names ending in by, Thorpe, Thwaite and Kirk are often of Viking origin, testament to their settlement and influence. The very name York is a testament to their presence, a corruption of the Viking name Jorvik. The Vikings' impact extended beyond language and geography, influencing English law, customs, and even cuisine. Their emphasis on personal honor, oaths, and the payment of weregild left a lasting mark on the English legal system. Their love of storytelling and mythology enriched English folklore, while their culinary traditions, such as the use of spices and smoking techniques, influenced English cuisine. Section 8. Conclusion. Echoes of the North. The Vikings, raiders, traders, explorers, settlers. Their story is a complex tapestry woven from threads of violence and innovation, conquest and assimilation. Their impact on England, once a land terrorized by their raids, is undeniable. They came, they conquered, they settled, and in doing so they changed the course of English history. From the ashes of their raids rose a new England, one enriched by Viking blood, language and tradition. The echoes of their longships may have faded from the shores of England, but their legacy lives on, a testament to the enduring power of cultural exchange, even when forged in the crucible of conflict. The Vikings challenge us to look beyond the stereotypes and recognize the complexity of history. They remind us that even the most fearsome invaders can become builders and innovators, leaving behind a legacy that transcends the violence of their arrival. Their story is a reminder that history is not a static monolith, but a dynamic and ever-evolving narrative, shaped by the countless interactions between cultures and individuals. Like and subscribe for more.